Hello, Rick. This is unknown variable 6, Cancerman COINTELPRO again. Um, Wanted to mention a few more things to you, Rick, before we continue. First is your assertion that the current administration believes that government knows best, and that they want to make decisions for the people. Let's take a look at some of the things that these are just things that I came up with off the top of my head that your specific ideology or doctrines promote. Bans on abortions. While I have my own views on abortion, it's not something that I would want to do, so to speak, but it is an issue. And you also want to alter the United States Constitution, amend it to ban gay marriage. Who knows best, Rick? Apparently you think the government knows best, or you think that your form of government knows best, right? And you use buzzwords a lot. Buzzwords like freedom. You use the concepts of the founding fathers. You mentioned them quite a bit. The founding fathers were actually against the formation of the Federal Reserve Bank. Did you know that? Franklin and Jefferson were opposed to it. And Franklin and Jefferson did not agree on much. They were at odds quite a bit. One thing they did agree with was that we did not want a central bank. The Treasury needed to handle it. And that monetary policy would be dictated by the Congress. Where's your mentioning of that when you speak of the Founding Fathers, Rick? We're going to continue.
Free up small businesses to create real jobs and real wealth. Instead, we have this entitlement culture in our nation that dictates government spending based on what bureaucrats think they deserve rather than what the people can afford. Do you really believe this is what our founding fathers...
While we're bailing out your campaign contributors, and they fly in to testify before Congress in corporate jets.
Had in mind, as I think of their writings, of the risk that they took in the name of freedom, the sacrifices of generations of Americans who...
There's freedom again.
...have shared those ideals, I begin to wonder, what will our legacy be? Will history view us as the generation of Americans that kind of collectively shrugged their shoulders and said, well, I guess there's nothing that I can do? Will we just watch our nation continue this slow backward slide? Will future generations of Americans living a life without any direction or decision that's not made by some bureaucrat wonder, why didn't somebody do something?
We're already wondering that, you damn fool. Don't you get it? You don't. That's it. That's just it. You don't get it. You're still trying to take advantage of these people in your audience. You're still trying to take advantage of voters by lying to them, by appealing to their personal feelings.
You see, I've got more confidence in America's energy and character. I totally believe it's time to reconnect with the greatest attributes of our nation, to regain that resilient spirit and recapture that love of freedom, remembering its true price. And it doesn't matter what your zip code is or where you're from, we're all facing the same challenges in America. I stand.
No, we are not facing the same challenges in America, you damn fool. Are you trying to say that we're facing the same challenges? We are at 10% unemployment. You don't know what that is. You've never experienced it, Rick. Because you're silver spoon fed. You've never had to worry about anything, Rick. You've never had to worry about food. You've never had to worry about money. You've never lived paycheck to paycheck. And you've never been laid off from a job, Rick. You're going to dare stand there and tell people that we're all facing the same challenges? While people are losing their homes? You're not in danger of losing your home, are you, Rick? You're a parasite, Rick. You feed off of the people. You feed off of your constituents. You are a parasite, Rick.
And before you today, a disciplined conservative Texan, a committed Republican, and a proud American, united with you in the desire to restore our nation and revive the American dream. I believe with all my heart that our shared conservative values, that our belief in the individual is the great hope of our nation. I say that with confidence because I've seen what we've done in Texas over the last 10 years. I credit our conservative leadership in that state for unmatched job creation, including a 47.8% of all jobs created in America in the last 2 years.
It's because the only industries that are doing well are in your state. Oil man.
Yeah, I gotta brag a little bit on Texas conservative values just a bit. We're the #1 exporting state in the nation.
Do you know why you're the #1 exporting state in the nation? Because the oil that you drill is being sent overseas. While we're paying record gas prices, you guys are rolling in money by selling domestic oil overseas. Because you want to control the crude oil market. And you want to manipulate the pricing of the crude oil market.
A balanced budget to boot. And let me tell you, that's what happens. That's what happens when conservative leadership that is willing to take a beating from the liberal left and their friends in the media. You know, we happen to be a bunch of happy warriors that are working together. We're sticking to our guns and those conservative values.
The happy warriors that nearly brought this nation to the brink of default. Your goal is to bankrupt our government. That is your goal. You want to drive it into the ground so that you can take it over. So that the government, much like the people, is dependent on your wealth and your financial support, much like many third world governments.
I've distilled my economic agenda down into what I consider to be some pretty simple guiding principles. #1 is don't spend all the money.
Yeah, don't spend all the money. Give it to your rich buddies. Right? Like the bailout? Hmm? Yeah.
Number two is keep the taxes low and under control. Three is have regulations
Keep taxes low and under control. Keep taxes low for the corporation. Leave taxes for the people and the workers right where they're at, right, Rick?
that are fair and predictable so that business owners know what to expect from one quarter to the next. And number four,
Wait a second. Keep the markets fair and predictable so that business owners can tell what to expect from one quarter to the next? That's really interesting that you would say that, Rick, because you just described the Keynesian economic policy. The way the Keynesian economic policy works is when the economy is doing well, they tax the hell out of everybody, especially the rich and the corporations. They take that money and they put it into funds. They store it so that when the economy does bad, they can inject that money back into the economy. So instead of an economy that looks like this, instead of a cycle that looks like this, what you're doing is when the market is up, when it's up here, you're taxing. You start taxing the hell out of people. Right there. And when the economy goes to shit, you put that money back in. There. And the way that works is you end up with an economic cycle that looks more like this. Not as much volatility, more predictability in the market. Now this works as long as the rich are taxed when they're doing well, which they are not. That is government intervention by definition, Rick. I thought you were against that. Do you even know what you're saying, Rick?
reform the legal system so that frivolous lawsuits don't paralyze employers that are trying to create real wealth.
So, eliminate the worker's right to sue the employer when the employer acts maliciously. Right, Rick? More corporate protection. I knew we'd get more of this from you.
That's what we've done. Over the last 10 years, we have followed that simple recipe. We've stopped lawsuit abuse. We have one of the lowest tax burdens in the nation. Our per capita debt is limited. And we keep adding jobs while others are losing them left and right. Those jobs flee other states because of factors like excessive taxation, punitive regulation, frivolous lawsuits. You know, to preserve our job-friendly climate, the Texas legislature didn't raise taxes this last legislative session while balancing their budget and maintaining essential services. And I might add, that new budget leaves $6 billion in a rainy day fund.
Taxes, state taxes. Texas has no state income tax. You can look it up, guys, if you don't believe me. Texas has no state payroll income tax. They get around this by charging a 6.25% sales tax. This is how they manipulate the numbers, and this is how they manipulate their citizens. This is the end of part 2. We're moving on to part 3.